Are you here? Greetings, nurturers and hunter-gatherers. You are here. Thank you for tuning in to episode number 1084 of The Paul Leslie Hour. We're honored to welcome back Christina Bobb, author of the book Defiant, Inside the Mar-a-Lago Raid and the Left's Ongoing Lawfare, from Skyhorse Publishing. Subscribe to Paul Leslie's YouTube channel and ring that bell. And here we are. The episode has begun.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Paul Leslie Hour. It's a great pleasure to welcome for the second time a very brilliant woman, I think. She's a great writer, an attorney, a Marine. The last time she was on, we got so many kind and positive comments, but I will confess we got a few triggered people too. But you have a new book out. It's called Defiant. You can see it's right behind Miss Bobb there. This book, I must say, it is one of the best political books I have read. I read it from cover to cover. Congratulations on the book.
Wow, thank you so much. That's very nice of you to say. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. My pleasure. Well, today is September 11th, 2025. Very significant for Americans, a heavy day. I've been feeling quite heavy, frankly. Yesterday, we lost an American young man, Charlie Kirk, and the title of your book is Defiant, and that describes him in certain aspects.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, what did you think of Charlie Kirk?
No doubt. He was the best at what he did. Going to schools and having open debate in a peaceful manner, trying to challenge the way young people thought about politics, the way they thought about what they were learning at school. Nobody did it better than him. And that's why he was Charlie Kirk. You know, that's how he became who he is. So I think he's an incredibly gifted, talented young man, amazing father, husband. You know, I feel the heaviness that you're talking about. It's a really, really sad day in America. Whether you knew Charlie, you didn't know him, you liked him, you hated him, whatever it was, the events over the last 24 hours are so horrific that I would imagine that anybody with a sense of humanity has got to be aching for our nation right now. I mean, it's just tragic. I don't have the words. I don't have the words to describe how tragic it is.
Absolutely. Well, my father called me today, and he was responding to a book review that I wrote of Defiant. He's a Marine.
Thank you for doing that.
It's my pleasure, and everybody can check out the review. But he was asking me, he said, what kind of things did Christina Bobb go through? He hasn't gotten the book yet. And I was telling him about some of the things. And in the process of chronicling all of these things, again, the word heavy subjects. You went through a lot of things. Was there any part of you that thought, maybe I don't want to relive all of this?
Oh, you mean to write the book?
Yeah.
No, actually, I had written it down, chronicled it all. I'd chronicled it all as it was happening for my lawyers. So I didn't really have to relive it. And quite honestly, it was interesting because as you know, there's a lot of dialogue. So I was President Trump's custodian of records for Mar-a-Lago. I was on site during the raid. I was with the FBI and the Department of Justice afterwards. Before and after. And I take the reader through that whole event. But I had to record it as it was happening for my own lawyers because I knew that I was going to be investigated, which I was. I knew that there was going to be, whether I was indicted or not, or whether, whatever they were going to do, I just knew there was going to be further discussion on it. So I actually recorded it, all the dialogue, everything. I recorded it as it happened. And I had forgotten a lot of it. And I was so glad that I did that because when I went back to put it together, I read it and there was so much in there that I had forgot happened. And I was like, oh, that's right. So I'm glad that I recorded it in real time because I think I would have lost so much of the information. But yeah, Charlie Kirk, going back to Charlie Kirk, he is defiant. He defied the political pressure. he became popular. He came up at a time of 15 years ago where I don't even know what it was. It wasn't cool to be conservative. I mean, Charlie Kirk is part of the reason that it became cool to be conservative. And so he pushed that mold, and he really broke the whole political correctness machine of, oh, I have to bow to this machine. I have to say things because that's what we're supposed to say. That's what good people say. And he said, no, I can be a good person and not say that and say, have different opinions and think something different. And so he really defied the political correctness of his day quite effectively. I mean, he bears a lot of the credit / responsibility for the young conservative wave today.
There is no doubt. Aside from the story, which I found so compelling, is there some kind of bigger message that you want the reader of Defiant to take away from the experience of reading it?
Yeah. Well, yes. In light of everything that's happened with Charlie Kirk, I think it's even more important that people understand they have made it, they meaning mostly the left, but it's not just the left. It's this political class of people who feel entitled to run the government and tell us how we have to live our lives. And they believe that they are morally superior and we all have to do what they say or we're bad people. There's a whole class of people that feel that way. Most of them are on the left, but there are some Republicans in there as well. But the message is you don't have to listen to anyone. You need to obey the law. Of course, you have to follow laws and be respectful, but you really need to do what you believe is right for yourself, for your family, for your country, regardless of what they say, regardless of what, they say you have to have pronouns in your bio, or they say you have to have gay pride flags on your house in June. And that's really, it's just not true. Just be defiant, push back on the rogue narrative, on the rogue government, where obviously don't break the law and don't defy the government in that way, but where the government has overstepped its authority, I think it's appropriate to call out the government. Use your voice. We have a First Amendment for a reason. Use it. So that's the message.
Very well put. Well,
and if I could say, actually, can
sure.
I add one more thing? And the whole kind of the theme of the book, the way I describe it to folks is when Donald Trump says they're not after me, they're after you, I'm just in the way. This book is what he means. Because I was close enough to him where I got a lot of the shrapnel. I was investigated 8 or 9 times, whatever it was, by the Department of Justice, the FBI, the California State Bar, the state of Arizona, TSA, DHS, everybody. I've made it through most of it. I'm still a criminal defendant as we speak. But my story really is the epitome of what Donald Trump means when he says, they're not after me, they're after you, I'm just in the way. And if we don't follow through with this, if we don't clear out this corruption, they will come for us. They are coming for us. And once Donald Trump is out of the way, whether his term is expired or, I don't know how long he plans on being influential in politics, if he, whether he retires in 4 years or whatever he does. But as soon as he's no longer in the picture, they will come for us with everything they have. And we can't be naive about that.
And that is such an important message. I know there are a lot of people, and I hate to call somebody naive, but they think the far left has been defeated.
Yeah, they have not. No, they haven't. I mean, they've been defeated for a cycle, but they haven't been defeated to the point where they've been reined in. Yesterday was case in point. The fact that they're cheering the death of a really bright, God-fearing Christian man it's horrific. That needs to end. And the only way it ends is when you have enough people push back and say, enough, we're not doing this anymore.
Absolutely. Well, I was at the gym about a week ago, and I'll tell you, I thought of you and your book. There's something in the book that it's just a very quick aside, but you talk about your coach at the gym says, Christina, you can lift more than you think. And I thought, wow, and it not only is a mental thing, but that day I actually did push myself, lift a little more, Paul. Come on, you can do it. But
good for you.
But my point in bringing it up is this: when your coach said this to you, did you think of it immediately in metaphorical terms? Or did you just think?
No, I didn't, because it wasn't until I got home, like immediately getting home from the gym that day, I got subpoenaed again. I had someone else show up to my house, serve me with another subpoena, which meant there's more legal fees, there's more invasive process of my personal email, computer, everything that's private. Some strange lawyer has to go through all of it and tell me what I have to release to the world that's going to get sent to the media and have me ridiculed across platforms. That hadn't happened at the time. So I was annoyed with him. I just didn't feel like lifting. I mean, you know how it goes. I was like, I just want a nice little lift today. I don't want to push it, and, I want to be done. And he was just like, no, you got to lift more. Like, you can add more weight. I'm just going to add a little bit more weight on. And fine. I was kind of annoyed, but okay, whatever. And then I got home and I got served again. And I think that was like the fourth or fifth time at that point. It had been enough to where it felt very crushing to me. I felt like, I can't do that. Like, I'm getting slaughtered. I'm just getting slaughtered in legal fees and in invasion of privacy. And I'm just getting slaughtered. And I felt like I can't do this. I can't handle another one of these things. Little did I know there were about 4 more to come. But yeah, so it was in that moment when I had just gotten home from the gym and got served again. I was like, I can't do that. I just can't do this. And it was because of that conversation earlier. I was like, okay, I can lift more than I think. And, just do it. I can lift more than I think. And for the most part, I've made it through almost every case. There's only one left.
Wow. Christina Bobb, you are a tough woman. That's for sure.
Well, I try, maybe. I don't know.
Somebody who's been in the news that we're praying for right now, I'm hoping that you can tell us about Rudy Giuliani, who you have an association with. What do you think makes him an exceptional American? He's talked about in your book, Defiant, and those parts were interesting to me. Yeah, those are some of my favorite chapters, actually. Rudy, he's an amazing American. He loves this country. He has sacrificed so much for our country, and he just wants to see the best version of America. And he has sacrificed himself. He really has given his life, not literally, of course, but every aspect of it. He has poured his life out for this nation, and he just doesn't stop. And I was about to say I was only able to make it through this because I was going through it with him, and I could kind of see how he was handling everything. And that helped me learn how to navigate, which is true. I also wouldn't be going through it if I weren't associated with him. So, it's one of those things where, like, it's a blessing and a curse, because obviously nobody wants to go through it, but I'm so grateful that I did and that I got to do it with him. What better mentor, what better example for me to see than Rudy Giuliani? So I'm incredibly blessed. I love that man. He's a great American. His story needs to be told. I don't think people realize how horrific his story is. He has had a very unfair shake in the media. They've lied about him relentlessly. So I'm hopeful. I don't know. On the part about Rudy, I thought that I learned stuff as I was writing it. Did you feel like you learned things that you hadn't heard about him before? Yeah. He's one of these figures, like I've just seen him my whole, obviously everybody knows who he is, but it was just interesting. It was also interesting to read about some of the undoubtedly historical people, like to read about this woman, Susie Wiles.
Yeah.
What commonality do you think the people that President Donald Trump chooses to associate himself with, and this would include you, what commonality do you think the people in his circle have?
Oh gosh, there's so many differences. Everybody's different. The commonality, I think, I don't want to paint with too broad a brush on everybody, but I would probably say I genuinely think everybody really has America's best interest in mind. And that's what I would say about Susie. My common ground with Susie is I genuinely believe that whether we agree on something or disagree, whatever, I can trust that she wants what's best for America.
Scott Adams on his show, Coffee with Scott Adams, he's always talking about how the other side, the prosecution of people like Hillary Clinton, and what's going on with that. And then we got this question. I hope you can maybe see this.
It's a pleasure to speak with you, Christina. My question is about the seeming lack of prosecutions for all the bad actors involved. Is there stuff going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of? I see a lot of rumblings on Twitter about how no one's been arrested, no one's been prosecuted, no one's in jail. That one guy that threw the substation sandwich at the cop didn't even get a grand jury indictment, and they indict for everything. What's up with this? Do you think that a lack of prosecution will be considered a failure?
I do think they're working on it. It's very unfortunate that that individual who threw the sandwich at the cop didn't get indicted, but it's Washington, D.C. There is very serious consideration for jury nullification, which is what happened there. I think it's happened a couple times, actually. I'm not worried about it right now. I do believe that they are pursuing the bigger crimes. I know, or at least we've heard that grand juries have been opened for, we don't know for who, but regarding the disclosures that Tulsi Gabbard released. I suspect there's probably a grand jury open for John Bolton. I don't know that that's been confirmed, but the fact that they raided his place leads me to believe they have probable cause for something. They got a search warrant. So there are things happening that lead me to believe we will see more things happening in the future. Unfortunately, prosecutions take time. By comparison, when Joe Biden got in office in 2021, Jack Smith wasn't appointed until November of 2022. And then we didn't get the indictment. The first Jack Smith indictment of Donald Trump wasn't until 2023, June of 2023. So it was halfway through the first term, or Biden's only term, before they even got an indictment of Donald Trump. And they were aiming to do this immediately, right? So it just takes time. I don't think we're at the point yet where I can say, oh, there's no prosecutions that are happening. I think there will be. I think there are. But we've got to you got to let the process play out.
Fascinating times we're in. Defiant talks a few times about some of your interactions with the 45th and with the president. And you mentioned, for example, President Trump calling you. And I'm sorry, I can't resist asking a question like this. What is that like? What is it like your phone is ringing? I mean...
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's such an honor every time. And I worked for him for 2 years. I worked directly for him for 2 years, spoke with him. There were many times where I was speaking with him multiple times a day. And every single time, it is an honor. He's such a good man. He cares so much about this nation. He's surprisingly normal for being Donald Trump, For anybody, we struggle with elitism in this nation right now. It's those who believe they're elite, the elitists, that are really doing the most damage. And Donald Trump could be one because he certainly has the pedigree for it, but he's not. He is so relatable and easy to relate to, which I think is very interesting given my background and his background are very different. And yet not that I could relate to him. I could relate to him to some extent, but I genuinely felt that he could relate to me, which was unexpected.
Intimidating ever?
Always. There's always an element of that. Not in an elitist kind of way, right? Just, it is who he is, but he's always kind. He is incredibly, incredibly kind and gracious.
Something that I was wondering as I was reading your book, Defiant. What was election night 2024, given all the things chronicled in this book? You had so many things you were facing.
Yeah.
And undoubtedly, this could make not only a difference for the nation, but for you personally. What was that night like?
Amazing relief. Just wonderful, wonderful relief. Like, okay, we have a fighting chance. If President Trump didn't get back in office, I mean, there's about 60 of us. Well, now about 45. I don't know if you saw the Michigan electors case got thrown out earlier this week, which was an amazing win. But there's still about 45 of us that they're prosecuting. I'm still a criminal defendant currently. And so if we had lost, we'd all be looking at prison. We'd all be looking at bankruptcy. Our rights would absolutely be taken away from us. And so it was just a relief of like, okay, we have a chance. Like, we can still win this. And I think we ultimately will. Not just the cases. The case is going to go away, but just the ability to live in our country freely. We need to win that back. We don't have it right now. I mean, you saw it yesterday with Charlie Kirk. He shouldn't be worried for his life. He shouldn't have to have a team of security around him. So, yeah. It's relief. We have a fighting chance, but we got to win it back.
Now, Christina Bobb, I hope you can hold the book forward.
Sure. Yes, Donald Trump did write the foreword for this. This is his signature here.
That's right. This question came in. Keep holding the book up.
Okay.
This question came from John Paradise of Pennsylvania, and he wanted to know what you thought when you saw the cover photo. He was very complimentary of the cover photo.
Oh, thank you. Dan Flewitt, who is one of Steve Bannon's movie producers or a photographer, took the photo. And we had a million photos that were very similar to this. This is what we were going for. So I was thrilled with it. This is my mugshot here. I actually wanted to use my mugshot for the cover. I don't know if you can see it if there's a glare.
Yeah, I can see
it.
But
I wanted to use this, but the quality, this is as big as I can get it without it distorting and getting pixelated. So I couldn't use the mugshot. So the idea was kind of like President Trump had his mugshot, and then his original presidential photo was like a really nice version of the mugshot. That's kind of what I was going for here. I was like, I want to kind of sort of recreate my mugshot, but in a prettier way.
I see.
So yeah, so I loved it. I thought it was great. You can go to my website, actually, ChristinaBobb.com, ChristinaBobb.com. And there's some more pictures from that photo shoot. It was just fun. It was a good photo shoot.
ChristinaBobb.com. What is the best thing about being Christina Bobb?
I'm proud to be American. I love being American. I think those of us, I was born in this country, raised in this country. I have lived abroad, but I've spent the vast majority of my time here. And it's the greatest country on earth. There's no place I'd rather be. So I like visiting other places. I like learning other cultures and seeing other things, but I'm American, and I think that's the greatest thing anyone can be.
Amen. Well, anything else you'd like to say to our viewers and listeners out there before we part?
Thank you for giving me some time, and thank you guys for staying informed and being part of the discussion. Please pick up Defiant inside the Mar-a-Lago Raid and the left's ongoing Lawfare. It's also available on Audible. I did the audio version, which is the first time I did an audio book that I narrated. So that was fun, so you can check that out. But yeah, check it out, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learn something, and I hope it helps give perspective of what's happening in the world today.
Christina Bobb, such a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you so much.
God bless you.
You too.
You know, the Paul Leslie Hour is made possible by people like you, listeners, viewers. Please go to thepaulleslie.com/support, and you'll know what to do when you're there. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who contributes. Performance of The Entertainer intro song by John Primorano. And of course, this is your announcer speaking. See you next time on the Paul Leslie Hour.